Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, you never know who you're going to meet on an American Airlines flight. My next guest is a guy I met on a plane, and now he's going to talk about how he started one of the most successful executive search firms in North America. His story just ahead.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team. And the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, I don't know about you. Some people like to take a flight and sleep and not talk to anybody, and other people just love to talk. And I love to talk. So I struck up a conversation with my next guest, Brian Blackshaw, and turns out we were going to the same conference, Dr. Fab, shout out to Dr. Fab in San Diego, talked the whole plane ride and became fast friends. Let me tell you a little bit about Brian Blackshaw. He's the managing partner at Blackshaw Partners, LLC. It's one of the most successful executive search firms in North America. And you started this what year?
1976.
1976.
Long time ago.
And you look so youthful. So it's hard for me to believe that you've been in business that long. Yeah. But tell me what the landscape was in 1976. Were there a lot of executive search firms?
There were very, very few. And the concept or the model of executive search from a retained standpoint, where you're retained by a corporation, the board or the chairman or the president, and then going out to find that unique executive to fill that role, really was unheard of. But in the late 70s and going into the 80s, the world was changing, the automation and well before the internet, but the world was changing, and corporations needed to have a professional service that could go out and identify and attract that executive needed, whether it be the new CEO, COO, CFO,
yes,
Chief Marketing Officer. And we would go out and dig into companies and make that phone call, which was always interesting, and buy them lunch, breakfast, lunch, or dinner, and tell them about our client, and then present them to our client. So it was right in the beginning of the industry. There were very few firms. And over the last 45 years, it's now about a $20 billion industry in this country, and most firms today will, when they're looking for senior executive talent, will use a retained search.
And I know you're only as good as your last placement, and so let's talk a little bit about your passion for excellence and making sure you've got the right candidate for the right client.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, as a matter of fact. And somebody once said, you're only as good as your last client. In our firm, we're all about customer service. We are a boutique firm, so we're not all things to all people. Our clients are primarily in consumer services, some manufacturing, but more consumer oriented today. And I have a personal network just of 45 years in the business. So, but the searches we do for clients are, again, at that C-suite level. A typical search can take anywhere from 60 to 120 days. They can take longer if things are difficult. But my philosophy is we stay small. We're a boutique. We love to hold hands, develop personal relationships with clients. Most of my clients today I've represented anywhere from 3 to 45 years. I have one client who is the CEO that I met them when he was like 13 years old, and his father was the chairman of the company. So I'm continuing to move on. I love what I do. I tell people sometimes, say, why are you doing this? And I'm saying, A, I'm having fun, just like you. B, I don't play golf. And somebody said, well, what about all the business you're losing because you don't play golf? And I said, I don't know if I'm losing business because I've never played golf, so who knows if I've lost it. But it's been rewarding. I get up every day like you. I love what I do. I put a smile on my face.
Yes.
We face our challenges, you deal with them, and you move forward.
And you have an amazing team. We're going to put on the screen your website, and as we scroll down the website, I know you're very passionate about attracting the right members of your team.
Correct.
Why don't you brag about the quality of people that help you lead this team?
Well, I know we've talked before. My firm used to be headquartered in Atlanta. I moved us to Frisco, not totally on a whim or a lark, but with a little bit of data, but just said, if I'm going to continue on, Frisco, Texas, Dallas, Texas is the place to be. So moved here about a year and a half ago. And today, corporate America, it's all about diversity, equality, and inclusion. And if I can tell you a little funny sidebar to that, when I first heard DEI, being from the South, I thought it meant Dale Earnhardt Inc., the NASCAR team. And I went, what? And they said, no, it's a diversity, equality, and inclusion. So I've really focused my firm as we have a woman, Tammy Miner-Shagan, and her whole practice is in the world of diversity, equality, and inclusion. I've got another wonderful woman, Yuri Sugawara, who I recruited away from the U.S.-Japanese Chamber of Commerce. She's been with the firm for 10 years, and she represents Japanese companies coming over to the States. And here in Dallas, especially North Dallas, there are so many Japanese companies headquartered here, so it's been excellent. I have another partner, Andrea Kane, who is German. She's a labor attorney specializing in immigration law. I met her 10 years ago, and she was the same. She said, I'm just tired of practicing immigration law every day. What you do seems to be very exciting. Let's get to know each other, and I may hang up my, legal book, and I'd love to join your firm. And that was 10 years ago.
Wow.
And so Angela's clients are, Lufthansa, Mercedes, Volkswagen. And when they come to the South and build these big plants, all the tier 1 and tier 2 manufacturers come over to build their operations around the big plants. And so she has a big practice with German clients. So we're pretty, with respect to with Tammy and her Korean background, and then the Japanese piece in Germany, we're very much a multi-diverse, multicultural firm,
Sure.
Which is how it should be in the global community today.
That's so important. We also want to brag about some of the clients you've attracted over the years.
Yeah.
I went to your client page, and as you scroll down, look at that. Porsche, Chiquita, Welch, Sotheby's. Just the biggest names on the planet.
Yeah.
As you look at that, I'm watching your face and watch this. Even you have to be impressed with that.
Quick story. This was like 1985, and my partner and I were on a morning flight from Atlanta to Hartford to go up to see Etna. And he wasn't really, we're wasting time and money. And so we're sitting, in the back in coach, cheapest seats we could get. And he says, I know it's too late, but tell me one more time why we're really doing this. And I said, well, just hang with me. We're going to do it. And we picked them up as a client and represented them for about 8 or 9 years. And so, it's been fun and challenging. Like you, we're all professional service providers. And so you have to love what you do and love people and be in the customer service. We're really in the customer service business.
Yes.
You do TV production, I do executive search, but what we really do is customer service.
Tell me about the candidates, and have the candidates changed over the years? I keep reading about job hopping and people, the Gen Zs and the millennials, kind of getting the itch to leave after a year or two. What's your experience?
Okay, yes, and yes.
Okay.
When you get to the C-suite, it does become difficult because everybody's usually happy where they are, but everybody will listen to a potential new opportunity. I just completed a search for a Dallas-based company that's owned by a world-renowned and respected private equity firm. And I called a major executive from Starbucks. And he got on the phone and he said, the only reason I'm taking this call is because I'm fond of the private equity company, but the company that they own in Dallas, I've never heard of them. And I said, well, that's why I'm here. I'm going to tell you all about them.
Wow.
And so he is now, we were able to recruit him away from Starbucks. And what I asked him on our first call, which the chairman of the private equity asked when they met is, why would you want to leave this huge global job at Starbucks where you run everything to come to this 450 franchise group organization that we bought? Why would you be interested? And he said, I've done everything at Starbucks. And so many executives, they've done everything in their company. And what this particular COO was looking for, if it ever presented itself, which I did, something small, something high growth oriented, where he could get in, put his hands on the steering wheel, put his hands on the gas, and it could take off.
Wow.
And so he said, I know I can run big companies. I want to do something small and I want to have some fun. So it's these top executives, they're all pursued. You just have to have the right opportunity for them and catch them at the right time. Is there a lot of change in the marketplace? Yes. And that's just a facet and a function of how dynamic the global business community is today. But if you're talented, those in the search business will find you.
My sense is that you have a sixth sense about matchmaking, because you're a business matchmaker.
Yeah.
When you're interviewing a candidate, are you already kind of saying, okay, this person does fit with this culture and would work well for this
Well,
position?
by the time you and I meet in person,
Yeah.
back in the old days, I lived on an airplane 5 days a week. Today, we'll do a Teams call or whatever. But because I know my clients so well and the position, I can tell in 60 seconds
Really?
whether you're in or not.
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
That's really
because many times you have to know your client better than your client knows your client.
Yes.
So, yeah.
All right, we're almost out of time. I want to know your secret for loving life as much as you do, because there's a lot of people who, they get to their mid-60s, they want to start winding down.
Yeah.
And it feels like you're still ramping up.
Yeah, we're getting bigger and bigger. We're getting into the AI, artificial intelligence. We're acquiring that technology. So I'm just, I'm going to keep cranking. I just love what I do. I don't know what I'd do if I didn't do this.
Yeah.
So I love what I do. You love what you do.
Amen.
You're very successful.
Thank you.
And we work hard every day. But that's all I know. Yeah.
That's a great way to leave this. We're going to end with the website, which is blackshawpartners.com. The great Brian Blackshaw. Thanks for coming on the show.
Good to meet you.
That's it for now. We'll see you next time.